Day 3 of the Democratic National Convention wrapped up in Chicago with Tim Walz taking to the stage. Kamala Harris's vice presidential nominee using his address to introduce himself to the American public. The governor of Minnesota previously served in the National Guard before becoming a school teacher. And before he formally accepted the nomination, he reflected on what inspired him to run for office.
For me, it was serving in the Army National Guard. I joined up 2 days after my 17th birthday, and I proudly wore our nation's uniform for 24 years. But it was those players and my students who inspired me to run for Congress. They saw in me what I had hoped to instill in them, a commitment to the common good, an understanding that we're all in this together.
For more on Tim Walz's speech last night, here's Fraser Jackson reporting from Chicago.
Yeah, it's a wrap on day 3 here at the DNC, and if I step out of frame, you can see the last few diehards who are still here. The rest of the arena clearing out, but just at the very bottom of your screen there, I'll tilt it down slightly so you can get a slightly better view. Just right there in the center of your screen now is the Minnesota delegates who still have not left the arena, despite Tim Walz leaving the stage around the best part of over 30 minutes ago. They are still not leaving and still not going anywhere, and they are still chanting Minnesota, Minnesota, and holding up Tim Walz's head, it must be said, a big cardboard cutout, which has been the running theme of this kind of convention. So it's been an interesting day, culminating in the speech with Tim Walz, who started by talking about Kamala Harris, thanking her for choosing him as VP, and also thanking Joe Biden for his service as well. He then reintroduced himself to the nation on what is arguably the largest stage that he's had so far. He told his story about humble beginnings in Nebraska, going through to 24 years of service in the Army National Guard before becoming a teacher. And he said of that time when he was a teacher, never underestimate a public school teacher. That got a massive round of applause here in the auditorium. He then spoke briefly about his time in Congress and said it was the students that he taught that had inspired him to go on that journey into Congress. And of course, then his time as governor of Minnesota, where he passed various laws, including free school meals for children and enshrined protections for IVF and other reproductive rights within the state's constitution. Those are policies which have actually made him come under fire from the right wing of the political spectrum here in the United States, and also have earned him the nickname of being an extreme liberal. That's what Donald Trump has been accusing him of. So Tim Walz, however, doubling down on his policies as he became governor, said that while the Republicans were banning books, that they were banishing hunger from their schools in Minnesota. So a real pushback there from Tim Walz, but he did spend the most part, the big chunk of his speech, bigging up Kamala Harris and her record as vice president, as a prosecutor. He said that she's tough, she's experienced, and she's ready. And then he asked the crowd, "Are you ready?" So a real rousing cry here from Tim Walz, and a cry that is still being carried on by his supporters from Minnesota.